The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Lane Fire Authority, Oregon, on your new Pierce Fire apparatus, job number 36252. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting at the front bumper, just under the front bumper you'll find 2 tow hooks on the passenger and driver's side frame rail. Moving up onto the face of the bumper, you'll find your electronic siren and PA speaker. Moving toward the driver's side, you'll find dual air horns in the face of the front bumper. As we move to the passenger side, top side, you'll find your front inlet. Moving toward the center, D-handle gains you access into a storage location for your front bumper load, and also a 2.5-inch swivel discharge just on the driver's side. On the corner, you find your mechanical siren mounted top mount. As we move to the face of the cab, on the outer edge, you'll find a marker turn indicator light. Just inside of that turn indicator light is where you'll find your headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. The high beam will be located on the inside. Directly above that, you'll find a marker turn indicator light and then also an emergency warning light. As we move to the windshield, seamless one-piece windshield, 3 windshield wipers. Out to the outer edges, mirrors housing flat and convex mirror. Moving up to the brow of the apparatus, you'll find your clearance lights. Located in that tray, you'll also find a forward-facing brow light. On the passenger side, you'll find a downward-facing convex mirror for the front bumper angle, and then also your emergency warning light located on top of the roof with the Opticom located in the center of the emergency warning light bar. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the close-ups that we have of the front bumper area. Let's first start on the passenger side with your bumper extension, side-facing bumper extension emergency warning light. As we move to the top section, you'll find your front inlet. Moving toward the center, you'll find the tubbed storage location, dry deck material inside for your 2.5-inch discharge, which is located just to the right of this location, swivel 2.5-inch discharge, front foam capable. Let's move around now and take a look at the entire side of the vehicle, and we'll focus in now on the cab section on the driver's side. Starting first with the tire, Goodyear tire, Alcoa wheel, and a visual sight gauge for your axle. As we move once again to the front bumper extension, side-facing emergency warning light. Up onto the cab, you'll find a side-facing bullet-style camera. There are door latches which are easily accessible with a gloved hand and also have keyed locks. Right next to those, you'll find the grab handle for gaining access in and out of the cab. You'll also find a door directly behind the operator's seat, and at the very top section, a side-facing floodlight. As we move to the rear cab wall, you'll find an emergency warning light lower position, and at the very top section, you'll find an LED water tank level indicator. Let's go ahead and move now to the body of the vehicle. We'll identify a few items within this area. First, starting in front of and rear of the rear axle is where you'll find folding wheel chock storage location. Moving up the top of the axle, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. As we move all the way to the very top section, you'll find a side-facing floodlight, and to the rear, you'll find a 360-degree emergency warning light. Let's move around to the rear of the apparatus. Let's take a look at the combination light structure in the back. First at the top, emergency warning light, brake light, turn and reverse light. Moving up, you'll find on each side of the rear-facing scene lights, and at the very top, emergency warning lights. As we move to the rear on the driver's side, you'll find a 2.5-inch discharge. Located in the center is your traffic advisor. Just off to the right side of that traffic advisor in the image is where you'll find your recessed backup camera. Also, as we move down, you'll find your large diameter rear inlet. Let's move around now to the passenger side of the vehicle, full view, and then let's take a look at the body section. For the most part, same configuration on each side. Let's go ahead and move to the cab area.
same configuration as you have on the driver's side. And then we'll go ahead and go interior into the driver's space. Let's first start with the door panel. Affixed to the door panel, all of our safety and warning placard information, along with a door lock and latch combination, window control, and a grab handle. In the base of the step area, you'll find an air inlet and also your shoreline inlet, which happens to be a 20 amp auto eject plug. Let's move to the seat. At the base of the seat is where you're going to find, when plugged into shore power, your battery voltage indicator will illuminate, indicating battery status. As we move to about the right ankle, you'll find this yellow placard. This is going to be information regarding your vehicle from Pierce Manufacturing on the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, the VIN number, all of the fluid capacities for each component, fluid capacity, and also fluid capacity type. Let's move to about the left knee of the operator, where you'll find the master battery switch, quarter turn, also the green engine transmission ABS J1939 diagnostic port for your maintenance team, and then also ABS diagnostics, DPF regen, engine diagnostics indicator, and regen inhibit switch. Let's move to the right hand side of the column where you'll find your pump shift. Two green indicators here. First, there are instructions from road to pump and also from pump to road. When exiting the cab for pump operations, you need both pump engaged and OK to pump illuminating. Let's move just to the right of this location where you'll find your convex mirror and flat main mirror controls. Let's go to the dash now. On the left hand side, you'll find start and ignition switch, a small switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. This will engage or disengage all lights that are emergency. To the right, headlight and panel switch, which allows you to brighten lights within preview of the operator for the dash. On the other side of the column, OK to engage the high idle indicator and high indicator switch. Let's move up to the dash cluster where you'll find your transmission, oil, def level, and water temp. On the opposite side, front and rear air, fuel, and volts. Located in the center, you'll find the tachometer and speedometer. Diagnostic information will display above and below the speedometer. Let's move just to the right of this location where you'll find the yellow diamond, which is your pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. Let's move up to the very top section where you'll find your display for the backup camera, right and left camera. Also a set of switches here. First, let's start on the left with the front flood master, front flood wide, front flood narrow, front flood spot, perimeter lights, and a backup override, and then just to the right, windshield wipers and push for fluid. You'll also find your engine brake on and off switch, settings for that engine brake for low, medium, and high, mirror heat, load manager, off-road traction, and your tire change, which happens to be a protected switch. To the right, Allison transmission pad, pump in drive. Moving to the right, a few warning placards here regarding disengaging the retarder, and then also your automatic tire change not exceeding 25 miles an hour. Climate control for heat and defrost and air conditioning. As we move to the right of this location, you'll find your siren control module and also PA speaker system. Just down to the right, you'll find 12-volt access via USB and also barrel style. Let's look overhead of the operator's position. I would like to point out the yellow placard over the driver's head. This is going to be the height of the vehicle, 10 feet 9 inches, length 31 feet 10.5 inches, gross vehicle weight rating 46,500 pounds. Also some switches to the right for your emergency lights, emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. Let's move further to the right to an additional set of switches where you'll find the Opticom, which is located in the center of the light bar, siren brake, which is for your EQ2B mechanical siren, selector switch for air horn or electric siren, driver scene, passenger side, and rear scene. Let's look to the center area where you'll find do not move your apparatus if this light is indicating you have a compartment or door open. Seatbelt information. Red indicating someone is in the seat and not belted. Green, they're in the seat and belted. Let's go back out to the front wheel where you'll find Goodyear tires, Alcoa wheel, and as we look to the center, a visual sight gauge for the axle. Just behind the driver's seat, you'll find additional storage, D-handle gains you access, adjustable shelving, and LED lighting. As we move to the rear cab area, let's first start with the door panel. All of our safety and warning placards are located here. Also a door lock and latch, window control, and grab handle. As we move toward the center area, you'll see EMS compartment located behind the roll-up door, and then 2 forward-facing SCBA seats, adjustable shelving, ventilation, and LED lighting. At the very top section of this compartment, you will find when plugged into shore power, this outlet will become active. Let's move around now to the pump panel area. Let's first start with your cross lays, and at the very top section, you'll find the orange pull handle will release to allow you to gain access to all of those cross lays. Upper and lower cross lays. Let's go ahead and move now to the pump panel area. We'll identify a few items within the pump panel. First, starting on the left with the gray module, master intake and master discharge. In between the two of those are your test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They're currently plugged, and those are used for testing purposes. As we move down onto the pump panel, you'll find your Husky 3 foam system specifications and also placard information regarding the instructions. To the right, the Husky foam system module with instructions on it, foam system level indicator. We have 2 wheel valves located here, deluge discharge and passenger side rear discharge. As we move down, a warning regarding entanglement. Because of those lines coming from a loft, there is the possibility of entanglement. We do have all of our discharges color-coded here, labeled, and they are all foam capable. As we move further to the right, minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 psi. Water tank level indicator, and then a switch panel in the gray module. On the left-hand side, we've got additional work lights, and to the right, we'll have our OK to pump indicator. Also, we'll have an inlet open and close, which is an electric valve. Red air horn switch. As we move down to the very bottom section, you'll find your pressure throttle governor. Just to the right of that pressure throttle governor is where you'll find an audible speaker. The outer edge of that black bezel does rotate, allowing you to brighten or dampen the sound. Also to the right, you'll find your engine cooler. That is a twist, not a pull. And as we move to the very bottom section, tank fill and recirculating line. And then just to the right, you'll find your fire pump primer, which is a push to prime air prime. Let's move down on the panel and slightly to the left, where we'll find 2 2.5-inch discharges. These are on the driver's side. Also, your large diameter pump inlet. To the right, you'll find an additional front intake primer. Just beneath that, we have some warning placard. When climbing onto the vehicle, always face the vehicle. You'll find your manual pump shift on the right-hand side. Also an additional warning label that caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. And down at the very bottom section, your tank drain. Let's move all the way to the left to the lower section of the pump panel area, where we'll start with a few placards. This is your Watrous placard indicating the type of pump that you have. Also a warning, only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after they received proper training. 2.5-inch auxiliary ball valve inlet, locally controlled. And then as we move to the right, all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Let's move to the right in the pump panel area, where you'll find an additional warning placard regarding foam failure. Do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. This is your Drank foam tank lever and also inlet. To the right, we have a lift and turn latch, which will gain you access behind the pump panel. This is where we're going to find a couple of items. First at the top, your foam drain. Also, if you look to the yellow handle, this is for operation or fill position. It matches the diagram on the back side of the door. Then as we move just underneath the running board, we'll find your foam pump intake drain and foam pump discharge drain. Let's go back to a few placards here. This is your minimum operation maintenance schedule placard for 150, 200, and 250 psi. On the left-hand side of the placard, you'll find the associated GPM at that test pressure, and on the right, the associated RPM at that test pressure. At the very top in the upper left, you'll find 36252. That is your 5-digit job number. Also, your Watrous placard indicating the type of pump that you have. Let's go ahead and move through some of the compartments now. This is going to be just to the right of the pump panel, your first compartment here. At the very top section, you'll find your battery charger. When plugged into shore power, this outlet will become active, energizing the battery charger and maintaining your batteries. As we move down, you'll find your light tower, which is on top of the cab area. This is the control module for it. The bottom section does have a pull-out tray. The release mechanism is on the lower right-hand side. It will lock into position. As we move to the next compartment, which is directly over the rear axle, you'll find SCBA and oxygen bottle storage, a combination door for your ultra-low sulfur diesel, and also your DEF fill location. Taking a look in the compartment, you'll see oxygen bottle at the top, 2 SCBA bottles with retaining straps. Exterior now to the Goodyear tire Alcoa wheel. As we move just up from this to the rear of the axle is where you'll find your fill location behind a common door. The silver cap is your ultra low sulfur diesel. As we move the flap down, it exposes the blue cap, which is your DEF tank, which is the blue cap. .5 US gallon DEF tank, once again blue cap. As we move inside this compartment, you'll find a tool board, front and back storage location, a release lock mechanism on the hinge side. Let's move to the rear compartment where you'll find adjustable shelving, LED lighting, also ventilation at the very bottom section, a pull-out tray. Once again, the release mechanism for this tray is on the lower right-hand side. Let's go ahead and take a look at the side of the apparatus with all compartment doors in the open position, and then we'll move around to the rear of the apparatus. General view of the rear of the apparatus. Let's start down at the lower corner with emergency brake, turn, and reverse light. Compartment doors are now in the open position. We do have additional lighting at the very top section, and also your hose bed lighting and rear scene lights. Moving just to the right, you'll find a 2.5-inch rear discharge, also a warning placard regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. Let's move down from this location to a couple of more warning placards regarding fall hazard. Never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. And also, if you're climbing onto the vehicle, always face the vehicle while climbing onto it. Let's take a quick look at the very top section. We have hose bed dividers and then also rigid tubes for drafting. In the very center, you'll find an additional warning placard because of those hoses, entanglement hazard. As we move to the top, you'll find your traffic advisor. Inside the rear compartment, you'll also find Shoreline outlet, 20 amp plug. When plugged into Shoreline power, this will become active. We also have a rear discharge, large diameter. And as we move up from this location, you'll find backboard storage. As we move around now to the passenger side of the vehicle, adjustable shelving, LED lighting, ventilation, and a bottom tray which does pull out. Release mechanism, once again, lower right-hand side. Let's move to the compartment directly over the axle where you'll find SCBA bottle storage for 6 SCBA bottles and storage straps. Moving down to the wheel, Goodyear tires, Alcoa wheels. A couple of close-ups here of the SCBA bottle storage location. Durasurf on the bottom area so the bottles will move in and out, and also retaining straps. As we look to the front of the axle, you'll find your diesel exhaust. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist. Please be cautious where you park your vehicle. As we move into the compartment in the front section, you'll find adjustable shelves, LED lighting, dry deck material, 12-volt access via termination point in the upper right, and then also Shoreline power. When plugged into Shoreline power, this outlet will be active. Let's move now to the mid section on the pump. As we look at the very top section, you'll find a through compartment. A couple of warning placards here regarding pressure hazard. As we move behind the lift and turn latch, you'll find your intake relief valve. There are instructions on this placard for its operation. Also, equipment rack hydraulic reservoir is located behind this panel. As we move to the very bottom, drain valves, color-coded and labeled. Just underneath the diamond-plated running board, you'll find the front inlet drain. And then we have a few placards regarding warning. Moving at the top, we have an entanglement hazard because of those lines coming from aloft. As we move down, an additional warning regarding when climbing onto the vehicle, always face the vehicle. and also a pressure warning hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. There are also two modules located here. First, let's go with the gray module, which is your powered equipment rack where your ladders are stored. There are instructions from raise and lower, also some danger warning placards. As we move down, we have a cab lift, also instructions for raise and lower and danger and caution. Please ensure that all items are secured and also that the front inlet swivel is facing forward before raising the cab. As we move to the discharges, we have a large diameter passenger side and also a 2.5-inch discharge. Also in the lower right-hand corner, you'll find your auxiliary passenger side inlet. It's a 2.5-inch female locally controlled ball valve. As we move to the upper crosslay at the very top section, foam capable, and as we move down, there are also additional crosslays just beneath the upper portion. Let's move to the cab area now. At the very top section, you'll find an LED water tank level indicator. As we move forward to this location, an exterior door to the rear cab area, and as we move inside to the cab area, you'll find on the ceiling push on or off white or red lens lights, your air conditioning unit, and also your fire comm headsets. As we move forward to this location, in between the rear section and the officer seat, additional storage, LED lighting, and adjustable shelf. Let's move inside the cab area with the officer spot, where you'll find affixed to the door panel all of our safety and warning placard, door lock and latch, window control, and a grab handle. Under the front section, there is an additional front inlet because that front inlet has to go over the top of the tire for cold weather conditions. As we move to the rear section of the officer seat, you'll find an outlet not only for shoreline power, but also you'll find 12-volt termination. Let's go ahead and move now to the front dash area of the officer space. On the right-hand side, you'll find the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. As we move all the way down to the floor area, you'll find a foot pedal which controls the mechanical siren. Also, as we move back up to the dash area, about right side of the officer's area, you'll find a push button. This is the siren brake for your mechanical siren. Let's go ahead and look overhead in the officer space. We'll start at the very top section, push on and off white or red lens light. As we move toward the front section, directly in front of the officer, this is going to be the FireComm control module. Moving just to the left, we have a digital readout on the speedometer. Moving further to the left, you'll find your traffic advisor. And then just underneath the front area, you'll find your FireComm wireless base station. We'll go ahead and take a look at all compartments open on the passenger side. And then let's go ahead and take a look with your ladder rack down, exposing a 24-foot extension ladder, 14-foot roof, and also 2 slots for long-handled tools and a 10-foot folding attic ladder. Let's go ahead and now move to the top section of the vehicle, to the hose bed specifically. We do have a diamond plate covered hose bed. We do also have yellow illuminating diamonds indicating the edge of the walking surface for firefighter safety. As we open the cover, you'll find your hose bed dividers. Moving more now toward the dunnage area, this is where you're going to find the top fill locations for your water tank and also for your foam tank A. What I would like to point out, we do have some warning placards on the top of these tanks. Specifically, I wanted to point out the tank A foam fill. Just be cautious, do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Moving toward the front section of the cab is also where you're going to find your master stream device. Also within the same dunnage area, you'll also find your Husky foam system. This is the hydraulic portion. There is a fill location and also a sight gauge. As we moved to the master stream device, you'll find an extend-a-gun, which will allow you to raise the MasterStream device above the cab area. As we move toward the cab area, on top of the cab, you'll find your night scan. This is your light tower controlled from within inside the compartment with the remote. Also, you'll find this is a non-walking surface, so we do have some warning placards in this area because there's no railing and it also is a slippery surface. The next set of images that you'll look at are going to be predominantly images of the cab tilted and then the engine, pump, and transmission area. As we move to the rear on each side is where you'll find your battery storage location, transmission and exhaust, crosslays, when your cab has been fully extended, there is a security safety bar located on the driver's side frame rail. Make sure that you store this in the position when the cab is upright. Do not reduce the weight of the cab onto this device. It is just purely for safety. As we move to the battery on the bottom section, you'll find your termination points. The next set of images, this was the cab tilted. Let's go ahead and take a look underneath the vehicle. We'll start at the front bumper area and we'll do a 360-degree shot of the entire undercarriage of the vehicle. Starting first, once again, on the driver's side front section. You can see the 2.5-inch discharge, also the tow hooks. As we move around, you'll find your exhaust. At each point of entry for firefighters, you do have perimeter lighting, wheel chock storage location, also your tire chains, which are located just in front of the rear axle, additional storage location for wheel chocks to the rear, and then also you'll find your tow hook at the very back section, LED lighting, once again perimeter lighting. As we move to the side, exhaust, and then also front suction inlet drain. Congratulations, Lane Fire Authority, Oregon, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 36252. If you have any questions regarding your vehicle, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. We'll take you out with all of your emergency lights and scene lights on and a quick walkthrough. Congratulations. Thank you.